Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Manchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Desatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gauravakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam Bangum Langayate Girim Yatkripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Sushrushadhanasya Vasudeva Katarichi Shanmahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatita Nishevanat Shrinvata Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Ridyantasto Yabhadrani Vidunoti Suhritsatam Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiti Tada Rajastamo Bhava Kamalobhadayasya ye Cheta ete rana viddam Stitam Sattve Prasidati Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangasya Jayate Vidyate Hridaya Grantis Chidyante Sarva Samshayaha Shriyante Chasya Karmani Drishta Evatmanishvare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Hare Krishna. So today we are going to read from Canto 2, Chapter 8, verse number 4. Shrinvata Shraddhaya Nityam Grinatascha Swacheshtitam Kalena Nati Dirgena Bhagavan Vishate Hridi Shrinvata Shraddhaya Nityam Grinatascha Swacheshtitam Kalena Nati Dirgena Bhagavan Vishate Hari Hridi Shrinvata Shraddhaya Nityam Grinatascha Swacheshtitam Kalena Nati Dirgena Bhagavan Vishate Hridi. Shrinvataha, of those who hear. Shraddhaya, in earnestness. Nityam, regularly. Always. Grinataha, taking the matter. Cha, also. Swa cheshtitam, seriously by one's own endeavor. Kalena, duration. Na, not. Ati dirgena, very prolonged time. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna. Vishate, become manifest. Hridi, within one's heart. So here, this translation. Persons who hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and are always taking the matter very seriously will have the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna manifested in their hearts within a short time. Purport, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Cheap devotees or materialistic devotees of the Lord are very much desirous to see the Lord personally without meeting the requisite qualifications. Such third-grade devotees should know well that material attachment and seeing the Lord face to face cannot go together. It's not such a mechanical process that the professional Bhagavatam reciters can do the job on behalf of the third-grade materialistic pseudo-devotee. The professional men are useless in this connection because they are neither self-realized nor interested in the liberation of the audience. They are simply interested in maintaining the material establishment of family attachment and earning some material benefits out of the profession. Maharaj Parikshit had no more than 7 days to live. But for others, Maharaj Parikshit personally recommends that one hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, Nityam, always by one's own effort and with serious devotion also. That will help one to see the Lord to see the Lord Sri Krishna manifested in one's heart within no time. The pseudo devotee, however, is very anxious to see the Lord according to his whims, not making any serious effort to hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and without detachment from material benefit. That is not the way recommended by an authority like Maharaj Parikshit, who heard and benefited by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So what a wonderful verse, glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam or establishing the position of Srimad Bhagavatam in our hearts. So let's go back to the Sanskrit again. Shrinvata Shraddhaya Nityam Grinatascha Swacheshtitam Kalena Nati Dirgena Bhagavan Vishate Hriti. So there are some specific points or messages that comes across in this verse. First is, how should one hear? That is Shrinvata Shraddhaya. So that's a qualifier already. In earnestness. Or Shraddha also is commonly we hear translated as faith. So with faith or with earnestness, one should hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So now we will have to consider here where to put the faith exactly. Which way of hearing or what's the source of hearing that we should actually put faith in. That's what Prabhupada covers in the purport. He brings up the point that, I'll read it again. So, cheap devotees or materialistic devotees of the Lord are very much desirous to see the Lord personally without meeting the requisite qualifications. So, basically, not investing any endeavor from the practitioner's side, but expecting that one has to just meet the Lord immediately without really qualifying oneself. Prabhupada calls them as materialistic devotees. So note the point that they are still devotees, but this materialistic attachment is intense, that one is not even looking into what can I do in my relationship with Krishna. And other than not thinking in this direction, one is thinking Lord or God is a order supplier. So now my order is I want to see you. So that kind of an attitude. So then Prabhupada says further, such third-grade devotees should know well that material attachment and seeing the Lord face to face cannot go together. So Prabhupada is really nicely bringing out these important understandings that we must have. So here Prabhupada is saying that material attachment and seeing the Lord face to face cannot go together. But at the same time, we also hear that if we read Krishna book, if we read Srimad Bhagavatam with earnestness, one can see Krishna in every page. So does that mean that a mixed devotee cannot see Krishna page to page? How to understand this? So it is what I understand from here is earnestness when it is there. Even a mixed devotee is able to connect with Krishna because Bhagavatam is Krishna himself. The point to note is it's similar to the Namaparad that we recite every day. It's also an offense to maintain material attachments in spite of hearing the glories of the holy name every day. I mean, I'm just paraphrasing. So in principle and in consciousness and in our understanding, one should be clear that I want to get closer to Krishna, attached to Krishna, and let go of other attachments that are not favorable for my relationship with Krishna. If one consciously, actively takes part in this contemplation and in this meditation, even such a person is struggling, that particular devotee or person can still connect with Krishna through Bhagavatam. We can still see Krishna because Krishna manifests himself. Yeah, it may be in and out because of, Anishtata Bhakti, in and out, but still Krishna manifests himself very, very kindly and vividly. He does manifest himself in many, many ways. So then Prabhupada says about it's not such a mechanical process that the professional Bhagavatam reciters can do the job on behalf of a pseudo devotee. So now Prabhupada is, moving. So one is one's qualification of earnestness in connecting with Krishna, earnestness in approaching the process, the abhideya that is given by the acharyas to awaken our connection or sambandha, and faith in the process, faith in Srimad Bhagavatam. So mainly here this verse is emphatic about Srimad Bhagavatam, faith in hearing. Now Prabhupada is moving, he's giving us that where exactly to place this faith, not on professional reciters, even though they may speak somewhat so-called philosophy or somewhat so-called realizations, or one may be very expert in reciting very in a attractive way. So, but our faith, one may say that, oh, that's also Bhagavatam, what's wrong in hearing there? But the consciousness of the speaker is what we are actually wanting to receive, not just the content. Content without the consciousness is not going to make any transformation. It's going to be only information. So Prabhupada is once again repeatedly mentioning that choose where you hear from. And in connection to this, I'm remembering, we can always quote so many verses in this connection, but we can just remember a few things actually. One is Tadvidi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevaya Upadekshanti Te Jnanam Jnaninas Tattva Darshanaha. So one who is giving Krishna or attempting to give Krishna must have Krishna. So only an acharya or a devotee who is in disciplic succession is able to actually give Krishna. That's Krishna se tomar, Krishna dite paro. They are the ones who can give Krishna. So hearing from such givers of Krishna is important. Hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam from those who live Srimad Bhagavatam, or even, like sincerely try to live Srimad Bhagavatam. That's important. And then Prabhupada says, why? They're simply interested in, so those professional reciters, they're not interested in the liberation of the audience. They're only interested in maintaining all kinds of attachments that are already existing. So if they themselves are like that and they're passing on that, there's no use. So in this connection, we can always remember how this whole, the first canto, when it opens, what is the question that the sages ask? What's the ultimate benefit for the, humanity in general? They're asking, how can they're not asking, how can they maintain their life in a happy way in this world? They're asking, what is the ultimate happiness, satisfaction? What is the ultimate happiness, and what is the ultimate welfare, and how to receive? So those are the persons to hear from, and therefore we are very particular about where we are hearing from. We are not attracted by professionalism, so-called professionalism of just recitation. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that it's like parrot who's reciting. There's no, the parrot reciting is not with devotion or with Krishna consciousness. Parrot is reciting just out of what do you call, like it's just a sound repetition. It's just words without consciousness. There's no substance in the words. And then Prabhupada here also mentions that such professional reciters use this as a modality for income to maintain themselves. So what is that? Then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur again gives not an analogy exactly, but then he says that one may have Shalagram Shila, but one who doesn't know the value of Shalagram Shila uses the Shalagram Shila to break the walnuts, break the nuts. So it is completely bewildering to even know that one can use, of course, that's what is going on in the world, that one uses spirituality, so-called, religion, so-called, realization, so-called, or any ability one has in just especially connected to the Lord, in getting some kind of a material accommodation or material uses that as a commodity for material advancement. It can be either gross material advancement, like economic, basically, or it can be subtle, fame, name, labha, puja, pratishta. So if we are hearing from such persons, we are only going to receive that. We are not going to receive the consciousness of a pure devotee. That's what Bhagavatam wants to give. So Lord Chaitanya said, I don't know the Bengali, but then he says that Mayavadi Bhashya, you don't hear Mayavadi Bhashya. Why? Because it is like a snake who has touched the milk. The milk is also contaminated with poison now. So it's very strong. Scriptures are strong. It's not about persons are strong, but Shastra want to make it very clear to us. Very mercifully, Shastra is making it very clear to us which way to lean, so that we don't have confusions. Even despite clear instructions, there is always the chance of misdirection in Kali Yuga, because Manda, Samanda, Matayo, Manda, Bhagya, Yupadruta. So despite clear instructions, there is so much high chances for misdirection and confusion. So when we hear these directly from a bona fide acharya like Srila Prabhupada, and from Srimad Bhagavatam, it's like his purports are his ecstasy, transcriptions of his ecstasy. So we must just take it very seriously. There is no way to think otherwise, right? And then Prabhupada goes, let's go back to Sanskrit now. Shrinvata Shraddhaya Nityam. Nityam Grinatascha Swacheshritam. Nityam means regularly. And then we'll go a little bit further. Kalena na ati dirgena. Very prolonged time. Kalena na ati dirgena. So we have to do regularly for a prolonged time. In this connection, I'm remembering in one of the seminars that I attended, the quote from Patanjali Yoga Sutra is Avritir Asakrit Upadeshat. I think Avritir Asakrit Upadeshat. This is the Patanjali Yoga system even gives. What does sadhana mean? Sadhana means it has to have three components. One, regular practice or nityam. Actually, regular is a very broad word in one sense. Every day. Nityam also in some areas we can say constantly. So we at least we should take it as regularly at this point. So it has to be nityam, and then there is the second part to it is the very prolonged time. One has to engage in sadhana for a prolonged time, and then most important aspect is with reverential affection. It's not just reverential, it's like this alone. It's affectionate reverence to spiritual master. With these three qualities, sadhana becomes sadhana. Otherwise, sadhana is missing some components in there. So once again, it's nityam, regularly for a prolonged time with affectionate reverence to spiritual master. So same thing Prabhupada is mentioning here. So one has to do Shrinvata Shraddhaya, hear with earnestness and faith regularly. Grinatascha Swacheshtitam, taking the matter very seriously. Swacheshtitam, by one's own endeavor. What does that mean? One's own endeavor. We all know that the Damodar month is coming. We are going to see that, our endeavor and Krishna's mercy. Important. But what is this one's own endeavor? Yeah, we may have the facility to attend, facility to hear Bhagavatam and everything. But then our endeavor in consciousness, one cannot be passive if one wants to have, Bhagavan Vishate Hridi. If Krishna if we have desire for Krishna to manifest, then the Swacheshtitam, one's endeavor, being active participant in hearing, or be participant in this, not just like expressing, sharing, all those kind of things, but active in our consciousness, because jivasya tattva jignasha has to continue forever. It can never stop. So therefore Bhaktivinoda Thakur prays in one of the bhajans related to Sikshashtaka that in Prabhu Tava Pada Yuge more nivedana. So please, this is my nivedana to you. What is it? It is Ahaituki Bhakti Jage Anukshane. Keep my desire for Ahaituki Bhakti Jage Anukshane. Always the flame of Ahaituki Bhakti, let it be always lit. Anukshane. Every moment, let it be lit. Let it be, always alive. So, well, we'll go back to the verse now. So, Prabhupada's purport once again. Now, Prabhupada is saying that Maharaj Parikshit had no more than 7 days to live. But for others, such as us, Maharaj Parikshit personally recommends, he says, because this verse is spoken by Parikshit Maharaj, not Shukadeva Goswami. So, Parikshit Maharaj is now hearer is telling, the Bhagavatam hearer is telling, I got only 7 days, but you have more. You do every day. Nityam, do nityam, So he says every day, nityam. Always by one's own effort, meaning one has to be actively hearing, when we are hearing, not just to note down points, but actively receiving consciousness from the speaker, and with serious devotion also. Now, now we heard the Abhideya. Now, Prabhupada or Parikshit Maharaj will tell the Prayojana or reciprocation. Bhagavan Vishate Hridi. Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, become manifest within one's heart. Within one's heart. So, in Prabhupada purport, we have to hear Prabhupada's purport. It'll be really nice. See here, Prabhupada says, that will help one to see the Lord manifested in one's heart within no time. So our eyes are open now. Our eyes, or the practitioner's eyes, the devotee's eyes are open to see Krishna manifested in one's heart within no time. So it's not like Krishna is not there. Krishna is there. But when we become active, Krishna becomes active in revealing himself, and our eyes open. And this whole thing, how is it going to happen? Through Bhagavatam. Not through anything else. Of course, Harinam, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Yes. But how can we become convinced, even in chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, is through Bhagavatam. So now the last paragraph, we will end very quickly. The pseudo devotee, however, is very anxious to see the Lord according to his whims. That's not the way recommended by Bhagavatam. So to just sum up this verse, Shrinvata Shraddhaya Nityam Grinatascha Svacheshtitam Kalena Nati Dirgena Bhagavan Vishate Hridi. So 3 messages, important messages, is Shrinvata, with faith, with earnestness, with keeping that flame alive to receive the realization of the speaker and the realization that's given by this main our preeminent Acharya Srila Prabhupada. He wants us to become pure devotees. That's why he's doing all this. He's not just wanting us to become mediocre devotees. Yeah, we are somewhere now. That's Prabhupada's mercy, but he wants us to give us far beyond what we are now. So that flame to be alive, Shraddhaya, and then what is the sadhana? When would sadhana become an actual sadhana? Is to do regularly Nityam, and Grinatas Svacheshtitam, with active participation for a prolonged time. Kalena Nati Dirgena. So now nectar of instruction comes into picture. We must have patience. A woman, Prabhupada gives this analogy, nectar of instruction, mantra 3, that a woman who gets married, as soon as that Mangal Sutra is done, one cannot expect a baby. It takes 10 months minimum. So one has to be patient. And how come, we were discussing this, how come the mother actually is able to, our prospective mother is able to bear with all the inconveniences that happen during pregnancy? Pregnancy is beautiful only for the seer, not for the person who's experiencing, at least physically or emotionally or at a psychosocial level. At a practical level, pregnancy is not something that's easy. For to see, they look very beautiful. Wow, they get a baby, beautiful, and we all admire and cuddle and bless and all those kind of things. But then as a prospective mother, the mother has to endure a lot of inconveniences. One cannot lay on their tummy anymore, and one cannot eat what one wants to eat. There's so many inconveniences, and despite taking all these precautions, still sometimes legs swell up, and all kinds of things happen. But why is the mother still happy? Because she's seeing the prayojana. She's seeing the goal, the end to this, right? She's seeing the relationship there. So similarly, where for a very prolonged time, sadhana needs to be done regularly for a prolonged time with affectionate reverence to spiritual master. And then Bhagavan Vishate Hridi. So we must choose Bhagavatam, and we must choose regular practice. We must choose to be active in our relationship with Srimad Bhagavatam, and we must choose to do it for a prolonged time, because this should never end, and this is never going to end. Even after going back to Goloka Vrindavan, we all hear, everybody discusses Bhagavatam there. So then Bhagavan Vishate Hridi. So we will pause here. I'm sorry, it's already 8 o'clock, but if anybody would like to share for a couple of minutes, we can take some inspiration from everybody. Wow, there's a lot of devotees today. Gopal Hari Prabhu is asking, what is the source of the three? What is the source of the three aspects of sadhana? You mentioned it, I missed it. It was very interesting. I can get exact source, but I know that this is from Patanjali Yoga Sutra. The phrase, the Yoga Sutra, that it stuck to my thought process, but I can still be wrong, is Avritir Asakrit Upadeshat. And there is that the three components. It was I heard it in one of the seminars that were conducted by His Holiness Rompad Maharaj in Naperville sometime in 2014 or 15, Anatomy of Anarthas. That's where this this particular phrase was mentioned. I can find some more details and post in the group, Prabhu. Thank you so much for asking it. I want to also know. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru and Gauranga.
Please accept into Prabhu. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Mataji, wonderful talk in the morning. Thank you so much. Your last statement regarding, hearing Bhagavatam even when we go to, so that actually rings a bell in me. And sometime back, I don't know when, 4 or 5 years ago, Maharaj actually was mentioning, or maybe I heard from, I think it was Rompada Swami Maharaj, that Srimad Bhagavatam is much more vaster than what we have received here in this material. And then that was one thing I wanted you to comment on. There is a second question. I think somewhere again I heard that Vyasadeva actually attempted to write Bhagavatam at least 2 other times, and he was not completely satisfied at it. And then this happened. I don't know if this is right, but I wanted to clarify and remove it from my mind if it is wrong. So
thank you for your questions, Prabhu. So the first one that you said was Bhagavatam is vast, much more than what we have here. I've also heard, but I cannot comment because I do not know. So that's one thing. And but in principle, we can always say that Krishna is unlimited. Bhagavatam must also be unlimited. It's because especially, yeah. That's how I don't want to speculate, but that's the principle I will go by. But we have a lot of devotees here who will probably know this. Please comment and please share with us. And the second thing, Vyasdev attempted to write 2-3 times. That also I don't know.
Okay, Mataji. Then
I only know what is mentioned in the Bhagavatam, in our Bhagavatam. That's all I know. I don't know anything other than that also. So then for both of these, if Arudha Mataji, Gopal Hari Prabhu, Premananda Mataji, anyone else, anybody, but all three of you have been with Bhagavatam for the longest. If you would like to share something, we will be very happy to get clarified.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Shatarupa, beautiful class in the morning. And I also haven't heard anything except that I heard that in the demigod planets, they have Bhagavatam, which is much vast. I haven't heard anything about the spiritual world where they, they're living the Bhagavatam there.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, exactly. But I had some comments and realization. I was thinking how, it is I heard there's about 90 commentaries of Bhagavatam, 90, and everybody, you can see how much it answers questions in life and all types of problems it deals with, because all these people are trying to bring their perspective into Bhagavatam, because it's just like it's a well that never gets dry ever, So that I thought it was very interesting. And also you mentioned about the Mayavadi thing, and how difficult it is to read the Bhagavatam and become a Mayavadi, no matter whichever way you see it, right?
Yeah.
And that's why Shankaracharya, he never made a commentary on the Bhagavatam. It's because, he didn't want to touch it, because you can't be a Mayavadi. And I don't know a person's name, but some Mayavadi tried to translate it, and he ended up with amazing things like, there's a blue light that is at the that is in the courtyard of Mother Yashoda, and so and he depicted it so beautifully that you could see that even though he's trying so hard to become a Mayavadi, yet he can't do it. He just can't do it. So unlike the Bhagavad Gita, where you have Mayavadi interpretations, and we have to stay away from it. My realization is that it's very difficult to remain a Mayavadi if you really take it seriously. Like if you study it really seriously, Nityam, like you said, it's impossible to become a Mayavadi. And that's why hardcore Mayavadis don't like to touch it. And those who try to touch it, they have a hard time.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's all my realization. Yeah.
Awesome, Mataji. Thank you very much for sharing. Thank you so much. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you so much, Mataji. It's always very nice to hear from you. Just hearing that, it shakes me up a little bit and then brings it to the proper perspective, especially in the morning. It's really nice. And about this sadhana aspect, how you have brought those three, it's really nice. I remember something else though, Mataji. Correct me if that's not the case.
There is one more reference also. Yes, I was expecting you could share something. Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, Dirgha Kala, Nairantarya, Satkara.
Yes, Satkara. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I remember from
these three are also there. I think this is from a different Purana. And other one is Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Both were quoted in Anatomy of Anarthas.
Right.
I did not remember the Sanskrit of these three. So thank you. I knew that you would be able to recollect. Thank you so much.
Because I have been thinking about it, and your discussion really helped to put it through. And also how you have brought that aspect. Though hearing it, I mean, it's we always hear that, hearing from here and there, but just the content alone, it's not going to bring the transformation, but it's a consciousness also when we are hearing. So that somehow felt very powerful for me to refocus or look at where all I'm hearing, what all I'm hearing. Thank you so much.
Mataji. Yeah, that part is also very inspiring for me too, because then there is no boredom in any Bhagavatam class. When a speaker comes and speaks, especially we sometimes feel some of the seminars and retreats are far out, or some of the content of Bhagavatam that is like creation, this and that is like, oh my God. So then, but if we are focused on what we actually are receiving from there, then there is no, we may have relish in some subject matters, but then we will not have distaste for some subject matters also. So that also, I feel like we got to remember what we actually are trying to receive. I've been thinking about it. So thank you for reinforcing that.
Hare Krishna, Shatarupa. Thank you very much for the wonderful class. I really enjoyed it. I'm not a realized person in Srimad Bhagavatam because I can never claim that I have systematically invested a lot of time. But one little thing, somehow by the mercy of Guru and Vaishnavas, we get a little bit here and there, something which struck me during Vedavyasa Swami Maharaj's visit, the one class he gave was, he spoke about the quality of the sadhana, and how based upon that Srimad Bhagavatam reveals itself. But and I think through that class and a couple of other classes, so when Aruda Mataji was saying there are so many commentaries written by various acharyas on Srimad Bhagavatam, and so the degree to which Srimad Bhagavatam reveals to such realized souls is something we cannot imagine. And so when I think there was this discussion about Srimad Bhagavatam is much vast than what we can see. It does not, in my from my perception, it is not about how many or how big it is, or how many additional verses are there, or none of that. It is, every single verse is so so much messages in there, but our ability to access or even our ability to even access the messages given by self-realized souls, it is limited. It's very limited. And so we talk about to receive Krishna, we must have a pure heart, and the purity of heart again is not enough, but it is either the mercy of Krishna or the mercy of a devotee who ultimately helps anyone to understand even a single verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. And this, I mean, as I said, as I first itself, I have not thoroughly studied anything. I have studied here and there, but hearing from the devotees, this is the impression I'm getting, that the vastness of the literature, or the depth of the literature, or the essence of the literature, there is on the one side there is the quality sadhana, which is, you already explained how it should be done. And on the other side, there is the mercy of the Lord, and there is the mercy of the devotee who is giving that. And then there is the receptivity of the individual. So if we put it all together, it is how do you say that? This is the depth of Srimad Bhagavatam.
It's dynamic.
It's dynamic. It is not just the book is big or volumes aren't so much or anything like that. One single verse is sufficient. At least that is the feeling I have. I mean, as I said again, it is not based upon my study or anything, but that is what when you are hearing from self-realized souls, you get that type of a understanding that this is not a mechanical process. And the sadhana part of it, it is a cultivation for lifetimes of cultivation. This cultivation is not any short-term process.
Thank you,
yeah, but thank you for the class. It was excellently presented, and it's very wonderful. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Madhuri. Thank you very much. I mean, in my any personal interaction that I've had with you, I have absorbed attraction to scriptures. So I'm very grateful to you for sharing your affection for scriptures, and the way you always say that I can just sit with a book and just be in it and not think about anything outside. I am really looking forward to receiving that kind of a blessing more and more from you. And you may not like me saying all this, but I have to say this because it's important, and it's the value that we receive from yourself, from Aruda Mataji, and just the attachment to Shastra, attachment to Bhagavatam. That's what we are, we want. So we really want that blessing from you. Seriously. Thank you so much for being here for us. Yeah. It's a very different dimension to our lives having you. Thank you so much, Madhavi. All right, so I think we are 15 minutes late and it's a working day. So we will pause here. We will resume tomorrow for the next verse, which is an excellent verse, which is unimaginable. It's really beautiful verse. Pravishta Karnarandrena. So thank you so much. And yeah, we'll pause here and look forward to tomorrow's discussion. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patyanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.